it's much bigger the difference than the uncertainty of the data. I won't put you at a test here, but it's Turkey, which is highest there, Poland, Russia, Pakistan, and South Africa. And these were the results of the Swedish students. I did it, so I got a confidence interval, which was pretty narrow, and I got happy, of course. I had 1.8 right answer out of 5 possible. That means that there was a place for a professor of international health and for my course. But one late night, when I was compiling the report, I really realized my discovery. I have shown that Swedish top students know statistically significantly less about the world than the chimpanzees. Because the chimpanzee would score half right. If I gave them 2 bananas with Sri Lanka and Turkey, they would be right half of the cases. But the students are not there. The problem for me was not ignorance, it was preconceived ideas. I did also an unethical study of the professors of the Karolinska Institute that hands out the Nobel Prize in medicine, and they are on par with the chimpanzee there. So this is where I realized that there was really a need to communicate, because the data of what's happening in the world and the child health of every country is very well aware. So we did this software which displays it like this. Every bubble here is a country. This country over here is China. This is India. The size of the bubble is the population. And on this axis here, I put fertility rate. Because my students, what they said when they looked upon the world, and I asked them, what do you really think about the world? Well, I first discovered that the textbook was Tintin mainly. And they said the world is still we and them. And we is Western world, and them is third world. And what do you mean with Western world? I said, well, that's long life in small family, and third world is short life in large family. So this is what I could display here. I put fertility rate here, number of children per woman, 1, 2, 3, 4, up to about 8 children per woman. We have very good data since 1962, 1960 about, on the size of families in all countries. The error margin is narrow. Here I put life expectancy at birth, from 30 years in some countries up to about 70 years. And 1962, there was really a group of countries here that was industrialized countries, and they had small families and long lives. And these were the developing countries. They had large families and they had relatively short lives. Now, what has happened since 1962? We want to see the change. Are the students right? It's still 2 types of countries? Or have these developing countries got smaller families and they live here? Or have they got longer lives and live up there? Let's see. We start the world. And this is all UN statistic that has been available. Here we go. Can you see there? It's China. They're moving against better health. They're improving there. All the green Latin American countries, they are moving towards smaller families. The yellow ones here are the Arabic countries, and they get larger families, but longer lives, but not larger families. The Africans are the green down here, they still remain here. This is India. Indonesia is moving on pretty fast. And in the 80s here, you have Bangladesh still among the African countries there, but now Bangladesh, it's a miracle that happens in the 80s. The imams start to promote family planning, and they move up into that corner. And in 90s, we have the terrible HIV epidemic that takes down the life expectancy of the African countries, and all the rest of the world moves up into the corner where we have long lives and small family, and we have a completely new world.
Okay, I think that's enough, and I think that's a really great example of how to communicate with data. And it's always fun for me to see how exciting he gets when he just follows the bubbles moving on the screen. And yeah, this is what we will recreate today in Tableau. Yeah, I would say let's move on to Tableau right now. So I'd like you to open Tableau. I assume that you will have installed Tableau beforehand, yeah, please open the tool, and I will wait a second that you can all follow. And when you have opened Tableau, it should look a little bit like this. Now, there are mainly 4 parts on this landing page. We have the connection pane here on the left side, where we can connect to data. There are different ways to connect to data. If you had a Tableau server deployed, you could connect to published data sources. We will connect to a file in a minute. You can connect to databases, all kind of databases. So there are a lot of pre-built connectors, and we also have safe data sources. Then there is a section where you can find the recently opened webbooks. So I've worked on radial charts recently. That's why you see a lot of radial charts here. Some sample workbooks. You should at least see these ones. And there's also a way to get to new resources, to learning resources. Can follow the link. Okay, but what we will do now is, so I hope you've taken the Gapminder Excel file. It's in the chat. I think Professor Krupesh also mailed it out to you. And we will now connect to this data set, yeah, by selecting Excel from the connection pane, and then go to the place where you've saved the file, select it, and then just open it. That's everything we need to do. Yeah, so select Microsoft Excel, connect to the Gapminder file, and open it. So after you've opened it, it should look like this. You see we have a preview in the data. We are still in the data source, on the data source page. Tableau automatically connected to the only table in this Excel file, which is the Gapminder sheet. And here we get the preview of what's in the table, the first 100 rows. You see we have the countries, we have the fertility rates, the children per woman, we have the life expectancy, we have the population, we have the region of the specific country, and we have the year. Yeah, so that's what we need to recreate the visualization from Hans Rosling. Yeah, so we're good to go. We are connected to the data set. And the next step to do is, and you see it here at the very bottom left, there is this orange sheet 2 or sheet 1, maybe for you. Just click it, and we will enter the area where we can actually create the visualizations. Maybe to introduce the interface very briefly. There are maybe let's start with the data pane. That is here the left side. On this left side, you see the variables from the tables. Yeah, we've looked at the variables here in the preview, and these are pretty much the same, plus a few additional fields automatically created by Tableau. But we have population, life expectancy, children per woman, we have year, we have region, we have country name. What you will realize, there is this small divider line. And this divider line differentiates the variables into dimensions and measures. So to keep it briefly, dimensions are always the independent variables, like a country or a region or a year. And measures are the dependent variables. Often or most of the time, quantitative, numeric, and we can do all kind of mathematical operations with these measures, like summing up, averaging, calculating the minimum, maximum, or whatever. Yeah, so that's the difference. Above the divider line, dimension. Below the divider line, there is a measure. Maybe more on that later. Then we have this marks card or the marks cards. And now I'm coming back to the pre-attentive attributes I've introduced earlier. So on this marks card, you see the attributes like color, like size. We can select between different marks. Like, for example, here we have shape. We can use shapes to encode data. So we will use this marks card later on to encode the data into our visualization. Then we have the columns and rows shelf. That's this one. And that's basically to define the X and the Y variable in our visualization. So we will create a scatter plot. And in the scatter plot, there is an X variable, which will eventually be on columns. And we will have a Y variable, which is on rows. Then we have ways to filter the view down to a specific year, for example, or a specific region. And here in the center, we have the canvas where we will create our visualization step by step. Maybe that's enough for now. In the slides we're going to share, there's a full overview on all elements here in the interface. But I think that's enough for now if we want to recreate the Hans Rosling thing. Okay, so let's start now, and now I need your help because I want to do it together with you, not just demoing it, and I will answer a few questions and just shout out the solution, and then we will do it together. So yeah, let's start by defining the two dimensions in our scatter plot. What was placed on columns or on the X variable in Hans Rosling's visualization? Who can remember? Okay, it was, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was the children per woman, the fertility rate. And we put this on on the X variable by just dragging it from the data pane and drop it into columns. Put it back on automatic. And then it will look like this. Yeah, we've put children per woman on columns, and it gets us a bar if you have set the mark to automatic. When you hover the bar, it tells you what you actually see. And what we have here now is the result 43,299. What is this number actually telling us? You can type it in the chat as well. How do we have to interpret these 43,299? Yeah, children per woman is the variable. It's the sum. Yeah, it's the sum across all countries, all years of children per woman. The total, thank you. Yeah, that's it. Does that make sense? Does this number make any sense? No, yes. I think it doesn't. Yeah. And what happened here is what happens with all measures. So below the line, with all measures when you drag them into the view. So we are summing up the fertility rate because it's a measure, and we don't want to use it in this case as a measure because yeah, it's just not the the dependent variable, we want to use it as an independent variable. And to do that, we will not use children per woman as a measure, but as a dimension. And we can just change that by clicking into this pill and select dimension instead of measure. And I want you to have a look at the very bottom left side of the view. Right now, it is 1 mark. So we have summed it up, and we have 1 mark in the view. And when we change it to dimension, we have 4,755 marks in the view. And so we have each fertility rate in our data set, and these are 4,755 different ones. Yeah, so the maximum is here 9.2, and the minimum is 0.8 and something. Yeah, so we use children per woman as a dimension on x-axis, and we now do the same with life expectancy. Yeah, we drag life expectancy and put it on rows. Okay, and now we get this. Again, we have life expectancy now summed up for every available fertility rate. So like this one, for the fertility rate of 2.04, we have a sum of life expectancy of 2041. Also doesn't make that much sense. So we will also switch this from a measure to a dimension. And now we're there. So again, we have dragged both variables, children per woman and life expectancy, on columns and rows. And despite it was predefined as a measure, we use them as a dimension. If you don't see anything, make sure that the marks are on automatic. Maybe that could be the reason if you don't see anything. Okay, now let's have a look again at one of the marks. So we have now 10,435 marks in the view. And let's have a look at one of these. I take this one. What does this mark actually tell us? Or how can this mark be interpreted? And we have children per woman, 2.387, and we have a life expectancy of 56.74. Any ideas how this can be interpreted? Okay, so this is all the marks in the view are all possible combinations or all distinct combinations between the life expectancy and the fertility rate. Yeah, so we have 10,435 different combinations of children per woman and life expectancy. What we don't have so far is that we know about when did this combination happen, so which year, and we don't know where it happened. So we don't know the country yet because it's not in the view. It's just the combination of the two or possible combinations of these two variables. So to break this up and to break it down to the countries and the years, we need these variables in the view. And now is the place where we need the marks cards. So the first thing we want to do, we want to see where did this combination happen. And therefore, we take country and drag it on detail. And when you do that, please have a look at the number of marks in the view at the bottom left. So it's 10,435 right now. When I put it on detail, it's 10,436. Yeah. So it raised by one. What happened? So there was one distinct combination of life expectancy and children per woman in two different countries. That's why one of these 10,435 marks are now 2 marks, and all other are have remained distinct but are now for a certain country. So when you hover over a mark, you now see the country where this combination of children per woman and life expectancy happen. The next thing, we need the year. We don't know the year yet when this combination happened, and in the same way, we take year, drag it, and drop it on detail. And you will again see the number of marks raising a little bit. So before it was 10,436, now it's 10,449. Yeah, so there is another dimension in the view, and it has split up the marks again. So obviously there was a combination of children per woman, country name, and life expectancy. Now we've broken it down to years, and that means that there has been a combination for children per woman, country, and life expectancy that is now occurring in several years, and that's why the number of marks raised up again. Okay, so I think we are more or less good. So we have the level of detail in the view that we need. Yeah, we have children per woman, we have life expectancy, we have country name, and we have year. Now let's start to build up the view like Hans Rosling did. First of all, it's very busy. Why is it so? I'm just seeing in the chat there are problems in dragging. So is that for all students? Can you follow? It works fine. Okay. Okay, so I think should be good for most students. It's working perfectly. Okay. If there are issues at some point, maybe we can have a look at it in the break, and we just go on. Okay, now let's start to build up the view like Hans Rosling did. First of all, it's very busy right now. Why is it so busy compared to the starting view of Hans Rosling? What's the difference here? It's for all years, perfect. Yeah, what we need to do is we need to filter down the years. And to filter down the years, we take the year variable and put it on the filter shelf. Yeah, and exactly what you said, in my data set, we have the years from 1960 to 2013, and they are all shown right now. What we do for now, let's toggle the maximum value down to 1960 to start with only 1 year. Yeah. Let me show it again. I drag year on the filter shelf and toggle down the slider that we have only the years from 1960 to 1960 in the view. And that already looks better. Yeah? And almost similar to the view that Roslyn created. Yeah, let's move on. Do you remember what was encoded in Scythe? So we had the different size of the bubbles. Can you remember the variable we had on size? It's the population, right? Right. Yeah. So size of the bubble is encoded by the population variable, and to do that, we drag the population and put it on size. Yeah, and you will see that the sizes of the bubbles differ now. Yeah, and we are building out this system one thing. You remember it? Yeah, we immediately see there are some bubbles bigger and there are some bubbles smaller. To have a clearer distinction of the bigger ones and the smaller ones, you can click on size and toggle this one to make the bubbles a little bit bigger. Okay, I think that's nice. Yeah, let's have a look at some of the bubbles. I guess this should be India. Yeah, it is. So we have China here. This should be the US. We have Russia, and Germany should be some of these. Yeah, this is Germany. Yeah, so we have now encoded population through size. Next thing we want to do is to use filled circles instead of these bubbles. And to switch it to circles, we go to the marks card and switch the mark to circle instead of shape. And now we have filled circles. Okay, that's good. Yeah, then we, I hope you can now follow. Next thing we want to do the color. What was encoded through color? The region, perfect. The questions are too easy. And you might already guess it. To encode region in color, we drag region from the data pane onto color. And it gets more color.
Sorry to interrupt you, Professor Klaus, but I think I got a very good question from the student. The question is, does the overlapping of bubble affects in visualization?
It does, of course, and we will handle that in a second. Yeah. So there was a solution for the overlapping. We will talk about that right now. Okay, but first of all, so by dragging region onto color, you get this legend here on the right side. Now and we see, so for example, these are the European ones. We have the APEC countries, we have South Asia, we have Sub-Saharan Africa. Yeah, same legend here for the population. So we see the size of the bubbles assigned to the values of the population. we can obviously, we could edit the colors if we want to, but for now, let's just stick with the default colors. The question that has been raised is very good because the overlapping obviously does affect the data visualization, because, for example, we have China here, and I'm quite sure that there will be countries lying under this big blue China bubble. And let's see if there are some bubbles. The first trick, when you have, so we have right now 189 marks, so 189 objects in the scatter plot. The first trick, or the first move we do to see if there is something lying under China, for example, is we decrease the opacity. So right now, when you click on the color mark, you see the opacity at 100. Let's put it down to 50. And then we already see, yeah, there is something under China, but we cannot access it because it's it's under this big bubble. And what we need to do to make this accessible, that we can hover it and see it, and we want to learn about what is this country, we don't know it. We have to sort the bubbles, and we can sort every dimension to have it displayed in a certain order. And to sort the countries, we need to do 2 steps. The first step is, here on the marks card, we move country at the very top. Yeah, nothing will have changed in the view now. The second step is we click into this pill and define the sorting. Yeah, so select sort. Right now it is sorted by data source order, but we want to do the sorting based on a variable, because the big bubbles are big because of the higher population, and this is the variable we want to use for the sorting. So switch this sort by option to field, and then it's already here we can select the field name. It's already on population, and we have to do it ascending. That's correct, I think. Let's see if that works. Ah, yeah, it works. So that move helped us because we have the small bubbles now on top and the big bubbles in the background. And this way we can access every bubble in our scatter plot. And I think we're good in terms of accessibility. There are some other tricks. So, for example, here there are lots of bubbles in this what is it, Europe and Central Asia area overlapping. We could try, for example, a border. Let's give it a white border, and this would make the bubbles even more visible. Yeah, or you can make it any border that you want. Maybe let's do some light gray. I think that's fine. Yeah. So this way we have all the bubbles accessible, and we can do the next step and create this animation. Yeah, and to create the animation, we use another feature of Tableau, and that is the pages feature. So you can put a variable on the pages shelf, and then this is actually also filtering the view like the filter does, but we will get this control to change the year on a certain action. And
Professor, sorry to
yeah,
interrupt you. I got another question. The question is, will there be any difference if we change the population from sum to dimension? I mean, I guess
no,
it's like from measure to dimension.
no, there won't be a difference because for each year, for each bubble is 1 year for one country with children per woman and life expectancy. So it shouldn't make any difference because there's only one record in the data set for this bubble, and therefore there would be no difference if we use it as a measure or as a dimension. But in this case, I would always use it as a measure because population clearly is the dependent variable, because the population is different from year to year for a certain country, and therefore I would use it as a measure here. Yeah. Okay, but let's come back to the animation thing. And what we need to do is we just drag the pill from the filter shelf to the pages shelf. Yeah. So again, we drag the pill from the year shelf to the pages shelf. And then you see that some things happened. First of all, everything has gotten more space in the view because we now have to, or the axes are scaled based on all values available from the year 1960 to the year 2013. And when you remember the visualization of Hans Rosling, the bubbles will move towards the top left corner. And therefore, we already have some space here. Second thing, here on the right side, you got this control card. And yeah, this is, I think, pretty much self-explaining. So you've got a stop button, and we have a forward and backward button. And then there are 3 more options, and that determines the how fast the animation will run. And most of you will have already tried it out. So what we will do now, let's put it on the fast setting, and then just click the go button, and you will see the bubbles start moving. Yeah, I'm not doing the commentary of Hans Rosling, but again, all bubbles move to the top left corner, like we've seen in the example. Yeah, okay, that's cool. Yeah, all bubbles should still be accessible because we have sorted them in the right order. That's good.
Professor Klaus,
yeah.
Can you please repeat the step once again?
Yeah. Okay. So this is where we started. We had year on filters. And what we are doing now, we drag year out from filter and onto pages. And by doing that, you will get this control mark, or this control card here on the right side. And then you just hit run, and it will start moving. Now you can change you change it to fast or medium or slow, but I think fast is a good setting here. Yeah, so just dragging the pill from filter to pages. Pages is also filtering. Whenever we go one step further, we filter the view to this specific year. Okay, good. Yeah, what else can we do? I think in Hans Rosling's visualization, we had this year somewhere here or there, also showing which year is actually displayed. And when I let this go again, you see we have this we have the year already here in the title. It's showing us which year is displayed. And whenever you want to investigate something in Tableau, just double click it, and you see there is something like a page name, and the page name is showing us the respective year. So it's always one possible or one of the values from the year variable. So we want to put the page name now into this free space, because no bubble will appear here, and let's move it there. To do that, right click into the visualization, and what we want to do, we want to annotate this point or this area or point. I think it's no difference if you choose point or area. Let me move point. Yeah, and then let's delete everything that's in it. We don't need that, and put in from the insert menu the page name. Yeah, I show it again. So I click into a random place in the visualization. Let's annotate a point, delete what's in the editor, and insert page name. Yeah, then we can format this, and there you see, you will get what you see. So I make it really big, put it to 72. I chose Tableau Bold to have nicely bold numbers and the bold font. And maybe let's do it a light gray. And this is almost looking good. Yeah. Okay, so we have this annotation. Let me show it once more. So click into a random place in the visualization, annotate a point, delete what's in the editor, insert the page name, then make it big, make it bold, make it a little bit lighter, and you get this one. You can just adjust the size of this annotation and the placement by dragging and dropping it around. I also want to get rid of this gray background, and therefore you can just right click the object and format it a little bit, and then you get this format field here, and I put the shading to none and also the line to none. And this way we get this number, and when we now start again the animation, yeah, it's what we expected to see. Okay, I think we're pretty much there. Maybe one thing to